Calling to order the March 18, 2026 meeting of the Harwich Conservation Commission being held in the Don B. Griffin Room at Harwich Town Hall. This meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting. Participation is possible in person in the room and also online through GoToMeeting. Instructions for logging in and participating through GoToMeeting are available on the agenda, which is posted on the Town of Harwich website. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda this evening is a request for determination of applicability for 263 Bank Street, map 32, parcel C1, for a proposed sewage disposal system for an existing three-bedroom dwelling. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, my name's Laura Schofield. I'm here from Schofield Brothers. I'm representing Riera.
Okay.
At her 263 Bank Street property. This is formerly known as Two Long Road. There was a name change there with the address. This is an existing three-bedroom cottage or house that's currently served by a couple of hybrid cesspool dry wells, I guess I'll call them, that will be removed, and the house will be provided with a Title V system. And we're here tonight because there's a wooded swamp behind the house, and the top of the bank surrounding the wooded swamp is shown in the green here. And the 100-foot buffer overlaps the whole entire property, and this red line here is the 50-foot buffer. So what we tried to do was to keep the proposed system as far away from the wetland as we could and as vertically high from the wetland elevation as we could as well. So we end up in this front corner of the property, which is nice for installation because it's super accessible from Long Road right here. And there's really no clearing of any natural vegetation required to install the system. There's a couple of landscape plantings that'll come out here, but that's about it. So it's a pretty straightforward project. We've called for some erosion control to go in right here before any disturbance to the site. That's a staked wattle with a silt fence. And the proposed system is a 1,500-gallon septic tank, and the leaching area is made up of the advanced Enviro septic leaching area, which is a type of innovative alternative system that's available. And it fit really nicely in that little area that we had to work with in the front yard. The Board of Health has already approved the plan last week, and the other part of the project is rerouting the water line so that we have a 10-foot separation between the water line and the system. And then afterwards, it'll be tucked back in and loamed and seeded with a rye fescue mix. And I think that's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
Thank you. Amy?
As Laura said, there's really no other place for this to go on the lot. It's an existing system that is kind of composed of, we think, are gravel pits in the front of the yard. Don't know the exact location, but they're in the front yard. And this will be an upgrade to an IA system, the highest spot on the property, and the farthest it possibly could be from the wetland. So I would recommend approval with a -3 determination.
Thank you. Wayne?
I don't have anything. Anytime we can make a better situation, make it a better situation, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Vivian.
I would agree with Wayne.
Mark?
Very straightforward.
Susan?
No questions.
Sophia?
I have nothing.
I have no questions either. Is there anyone participating in the meeting, in the room or online, who has any questions or comments? Doesn't appear to be so. Can we have a motion?
Move for approval for 263 Bank Street with a -3 determination.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 There we go, 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have a notice of intent for 6 Panorama Point Drive, map 91, parcel G2-8, for proposed construction of a walkover structure to provide safe access down a steep slope to Hinckley's Pond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Charlie Agro with BSC Group on behalf of the applicants, the Keek Dells. The proposal is to construct a 3-foot wide elevated walkover structure in the place of the existing landscape timber steps that are there now. As you mentioned, it's a pretty steep slope at the end of the property heading down towards the water. The stairs would be located within the 0 to 50-foot buffer to the edge of the pond, the ordinary high water mark. We are slightly above the ordinary high water mark here. The stairs would be a safety improvement for what's currently out there now. Those landscape style timber steps can get a little slippery after it rains, and it's kind of tough to have a handrail system going on to it. And we feel it would also be a betterment to the wetland resource areas and the buffer to the wetland resource areas by raising it up off the ground and by proposing to reseed and clean up the area where the timber steps are currently located. We've designed it to avoid all of the existing trees and vegetation on the bank to reduce having to remove trees and reduce impacts while trying to stay within the existing footprint of the stairs, which we're proposing to do up till the very end of the structure where we have the stairs landing on the other side of the dock. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amy?
Thank you. The new staircase would comply with your requirements, your regulations for staircases down inland banks. There's an existing set of stairs set in the grade there now. I did have a chance to briefly speak with Charlie this afternoon and said, to me, it would be amenable to kind of replace in kind so as not to disturb more. Not that this would disturb more, but typically we wouldn't want in-grade steps, but because it's already existing and has been for a while, probably when the house was built in the 80s, I would say. I did take a look at the file. That I would be amenable to that, but he did say the owners would really like a raised set, which is great. This is a nice southerly facing area with an opening kind of in this area of the canopy, so it should get some adequate light and precipitation in order for any type of native seed that's put down in the disturbed area underneath where the stairs will be, should be able to take. They are asking to cantilever a kayak rack, basically just an arm off the set of stairs towards the base of the water. In this instance, I think that would be acceptable, rather than, chances are people would just leave them, if you didn't, on the ground and not hike them up the hill to store them. So I think it's a better alternative, and it's not requiring any additional posts to the ground. It will be cantilevered off from the 3-foot wide structure. we did see that there is a platform at the edge of the water that's kind of like a swimming platform, a off point. It is in the water. It's not licensed, and technically it probably should be. I don't think it should hold up this project, and Charlie and I did speak, and the owners may want to do something with that anyways. So it's, again, it's probably been there since the 80s, and it's a small platform, probably not much bigger than this section of table here. But it is something that, you know, if they're gonna have a water-dependent structure, they should properly permit it going forward. Couple of storm-damaged trees there, and if they wanted, can incorporate into part of the order is to, you know, flush cut and remove the damaged trees in the 100-foot buffer zone. There's 2 or 3 big pitch pines that came down because of the storm, and I've kind of waived permitting requirements as long as we document the storm damage, but we could roll this over into this one. And it is in priority habitat, but it is not in estimated habitat. So when something is in priority, it doesn't sound right, because you think priority would be more significant. But when it's in priority but not estimated habitat, we don't need to wait to vote on this one. So if it was an estimated habitat, we would need to wait for a letter from Natural Heritage, but because it's priority, they did apply, and we have had mailing proof that they did apply, but we don't need to wait. So, I guess with all that being said, I would recommend approval.
Sophia?
I don't have any objection to the stairs. I think, as long as the seating that happens, I feel like you'll check on it anyway down the road, but I would worry that would be a little bit of a battle to get things to take there if we're still getting a lot of heavy rain. So I don't know if there's a way. I liked your suggestion of the mat.
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention that, an erosion control biodegradable mat underneath the stairs.
Because otherwise it's so pine duffy that's just,
True.
It'll kind of just run off. So I think
That's a good point.
my only comment.
No questions.
No questions.
Nothing for me, John. Very simple.
So did you look into the fence? Is the fence
Oh.
permitted?
The fence is not, thank you for reminding me, not that I can see. I know the fence, I've visited that property pretty early in my career here in Harwich, so it's been there for quite a while. But it does not show up on any plans, and I believe it was the previous owners who did it. There's a chain link fence that encompasses a lot of the yard. I would venture that it was put in prior to 2014, which is when we had a 50-foot no disturb zone put into place.
So the fence is,
It's in the 0 to 50.
oh, it's, oh, so you're saying prior to 2014, there was no disturb
Correct.
50-foot?
Should the previous owners still have come to us to get permits, because a 100-foot buffer zone, you know, was a thing, since 1978, and this lot was built in 86, they should have, they didn't. But I do believe that this fence has been there for probably more than 15 years at this point, and likely predated the 50-foot no disturb zone.
My second question is, aside from the existing dock that's there, do you think that this structure in and of itself would qualify as a water-dependent structure?
The stair?
Yeah.
No,
Would it come down to the water? The actual high water mark is not noted on plans as far as I can see.
so.
That's the line labeled OHW for ordinary high water.
High water.
So that's on the plan view somewhere. Is that what you're saying,
Yes.
Charlie? Oh, I see.
On the
Okay.
site plan view,
So-
right over the
I
big
see.
Hinckley's Pond label.
It's just outside of it.
Okay. Those are my questions. I see that. goes right through the existing platform.
Correct.
All right, I don't have anything else. Again, is there anyone participating who wishes to ask a question or make a comment on this hearing? That sounds like a resounding no.
I move to approve the notice of intent for 6 Panorama Point Drive, map 91, parcel G2-8.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Again, 5-0.
6.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6-0, yes.
Well, thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, you too. Next, we have a notice of intent for 140 Clearwater Drive, map 73, parcel S110, for proposed removal of the existing dwelling
Thanks.
and reconstruction of a new dwelling on the existing concrete foundation. Work to occur in the 0 to 100 buffer to the bordering vegetated wetland.
Good evening. Matt Farrell from J.M. O'Reilly and Associates, and I am representing Joe and Kathy Frazier. They're in the front row here. So this property, the wetland resources include Bucks Pond and a bordering vegetated wetland located on the sandy beach north of the existing house. The site is served by an existing single-family dwelling, existing gravel driveway, an existing sewage system that was designed and installed in 2001. The proposal is to remove the existing house and rebuild on the existing foundation. Modifications to the dwelling include a new covered entryway and a slight expansion of the foundation in the front, on the front side, away from the wetland resources. On the rear of the structure, on the back patio, we're gonna remove the granite step and create a planting area about 4 feet wide and remove the patio as well. There's also on the rear side of the house, a brick step that we're removing. And then we're proposing two steps off the house and then a stepping stone walkway to the existing patio. We're estimating with what we're taking away and what we're adding about 6 square feet in the 100-foot buffer zone. And we're proposing approximately 75 square feet of mitigation in the form of 6 bayberry shrubs to be planted along the stone patio in the rear, and then revegetation of all disturbed areas with a native grass seed mix. It's pretty simple. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions the commission has.
Thank you. Amy?
Fairly straightforward in terms of conservation. Your footprint's really not changing very much. And I kind of see, the removal of the step and piece of stone patio is kind of just pretty equal in terms of putting on the new 2 little steps and walkway steppers, and then you have a slight increase in your, right at the 100-foot buffer zone for your entryway. So I don't, as mitigation, I'm not sure, typically we don't say mitigation right up to the edge of a foundation, like foundation plantings typically aren't seen as mitigation. But in this case, it's so close, it's almost kind of a wash, in terms of, adding and subtracting square footage, so. I would just wanna see our regular conditions in terms of roof runoff going into dry wells, and I would like, plan at the time of, or pre-construction, showing where the location of the dry wells will be.
Okay.
When I first went out to the site, we had a whole bunch of snow, so it looked to me like the limit of work was huge, and then I found your driveway. So, I didn't know no issue for me with the limit of work. It makes sense to be along the driveway. Looks like you're gonna preserve that lovely, I thought it was a maple. You have it as an 18-inch oak here, but the very large 18-inch tree right at the 50-foot buffer zone line, and hoping you can preserve that. It's a really nice tree.
It's outside the limit of work, right? It's not inside.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, and you shouldn't be excavating over there. Well, you're keeping the foundation, right?
Correct.
So it should be okay. Again, this is priority but not estimated habitat, so they filed with, but we do not have to wait for natural heritage. So I would recommend approval of the project.
Thank you. Mark?
Pretty straightforward to me.
Vivian?
No, looks pretty straightforward.
We didn't talk septic yesterday. No changes to the existing septic system?
Nope, all the existing utilities will remain. The septic was designed and installed in 2001, which is current code, 5-foot separation to groundwater. It's kind of tucked into the hill in the front with a stone retaining wall around it.
Okay. No other questions?
Just a comment on the trees, it looks like you're not planning to remove any. However, I think, like, knowing the way that a lot of construction sites work, it's really important if we want to see those trees preserved, and if you, the homeowners, want to preserve the trees, that there be some sort of tree protection plan that's agreed upon with whoever's overseeing the construction, just to, you know, establish a bit of a buffer around the root zone so that people don't store tools or park a truck or, you know, whatever. It can make a really big difference for the long-term health of the trees.
Is that like a physical plan or just,
It's something we don't have that but it's something we could talk about during a pre-construction meeting on any
Yeah.
site,
Okay.
including this one, to
It's
make sure.
usually like something as simple as, you know, even putting up 2x2s with a
Right.
little bit of fencing, just
Gotcha.
something to establish a little bit of a buffer around the trees.
Yep.
So that would be a recommendation.
Nothing, pretty simple.
I have no questions. Any questions or comments from participants? Doesn't seem that way. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the plan for 140 Clearwater Drive, map 73, parcel S110.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 6-0.
thank you very much, you folks. Have a good night.
Okay. Next, we have discussion. First item for discussion is 374 Main Street property discussion on existing conditions and possible update from the tech school.
So it's been kind of quiet in terms of feedback or any information that we've gotten regarding the commission's property of 374 Main Street, which was previously leased to Cranberry Farmer and hadn't been really actively farmed too much. So it was leased to the tech school for environmental education and agricultural purposes. The Conservation Commission agreed to it. The lease was signed by the select board, and it hasn't been a lot of activity since. They have decided they didn't get the funding, I don't believe, that they were looking for, so they're not gonna be creating this whole satellite campus that they were thinking of over there. They are proposing to do that, to do something over at their main campus. And this was really gonna be kind of just like an off-site satellite, field area, from what I understand now. I do know that the Harwich Conservation Trust has engaged with Interfluve to kind of study the hydrology of the area and potentially look into doing restoration of the stream. that goes into Flax Pond, but that's just exploratory, and that was agreed to by the tech school and the town, through me, to do that exploratory work of the stream and its impediments. So I did, email Superintendent Bob Sanborn, asking kind of what status is over there, and basically got a response of no news. And in particular, what's pressing, and has been, is the state of the property that the previous lessee left it in, and that still exists on the site. So, John, I'll pass it over to you, drafted a letter to administration. A copy of that draft was in your packets. Trying to take this discussion item back up and get things cleaned up over there.
So the letter speaks for itself. Simply asking as nicely as possible that the town immediately take up the issue of whatever is left on there and use whatever means necessary to ensure that all that remains, and we actually don't know what remains. I think a few of us have maybe had a look, but we don't know what's there, and the town really needs to assess exactly what's there and take whatever steps are necessary to make sure that all of the effects of the previous lessee are removed, including specifically anything that might contribute to degradation of the site. And that's the point of the letter. And this letter is addressed to Mr. McGrail, our new town manager. It needs to also, I think, be copied to the entire select board. And
I put that
I'd like
on
to hear
mine.
any comments or anything that's missing or whatever my fellow commission members think about this.
I think that's the bottom line, John, is getting the place cleaned up.
Right.
And especially, I know there was some questionable materials stockpiled up there. All that stuff's gotta get out of there. I don't know if it's still there or not. Yeah, and I don't know what's in that barn, what was left. There was all kinds of stuff in there before. I don't know what the status is, but whatever it is, we gotta get it cleaned up.
So if we could get the town manager to agree to support the commission going onto the property and assessing what is there, do you think that's a good idea? That's not in this letter.
We
Or
would
do you-
also need to get permission technically from the lessee. I mean, it is our property,
Right.
and I don't foresee that Mr. Sanborn would have an issue with that, but still,
Sure.
they have an active lease. We need to make sure it's okay when we enter the property. And we could invite him as a new town manager.
Yeah, field day.
There you go.
Good idea.
Anything else?
I agree with what was said.
Nothing from me.
Any other comments?
Thank you, if I may.
You may,
Come up, yeah.
please come and
Thanks.
identify yourself and,
Matt Sutphin, Harwich. Thank you for putting this on the agenda. This property goes way back with me. I was before this board 24 years ago when the town had just paid $630,000 for it. And through encouragement of the finance committee, it was leased out to a person. And he then went and basically used it as private property, put a fence around it, and effectively engaged in what I call corporate welfare. Put a fence around it so that people couldn't access the property. And I found that bothersome, and it's kind of sat in my craw for 24 years. And then when the select board decided to fall in line with the tech school request for the use of the property to advance arbor tech or any kind of land-based educational purpose. The select board just went ahead with it, and I know for a fact they just readily accepted the tech school's suggestion of $1,000 a year to rent the property. And I found that particularly frustrating because here we go, in my mind, it was here we go again. Anybody who here on your board who wanted to part with $630,000 would certainly expect more than $1,000 a year. So with all the challenges the town has to find money, and constantly it's a matter of finding more money, there is this seemingly difficult ability to decide what not to do. It's always, how can we afford to do something more? And if that is the mindset, and I believe it is, then of course you would like all the other 13 towns supporting the tech school to chip in more than $180 a year. So what I am really suggesting here is the particulars of the lease have a performance period. I believe that performance period is up. So I would invite you to reclaim the property so that the town can decide for its benefit what is best, what the best purposes of that property would be. And I encourage you to do it for a couple of reasons. One is, this town, you may know, I've got the data from the Cape Cod Commission. We're the rock bottom on Cape Cod for buying protected land. Rock bottom. And the other towns that are above us have 3, 4, 7% more protected land within their boundaries than we do. We could spend all evening talking about the particular DNA of the town that contributes to development, but you don't want me here for that. And so what I really want, what I was really hoping is, and I thought that the, one select board member would put it on the select board agenda a few months ago, indicated he would, but I haven't seen it. So I copied that letter to you. I trust you've seen the letter. I'd ask you to chase down the contract, reclaim management of the property, and think about how we all can benefit by it as with public access. Take the fence up, take the fence back. But particularly, since the leaseor who had it for 20 years and got a 2-year extension at no cost, I think, the 2 years, his kick towards the town is probably over the 20 years, no more than $80,000. So what you would have to weigh, in my opinion, is just what the cost of the cleanup is against that income. And I suspect it would be de minimis. I don't think there'd be much money left by the time you get the property broom clean the way you found it. The lease was broom clean. So I just want you to reclaim it. I think the town, having spent $630 23 years ago, which would probably be the equivalent of $1 million today, they ought to have something for it. And they don't right now. They don't. So that's why I'm here. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone care to respond?
I admit I don't have a copy of the lease here with me, so in terms of the, and I'm happy to look at it and send it to you. The performance period, I can't say I know that definitively.
Well,
Is there a way that we could get it back? Is it possible? Don't know that yet?
I don't.
That's a
we
legal issue, I'm
I
sure.
don't think we can do it without the cooperation of the select board, since
Yeah.
they signed the lease, their signatures are on the lease. So, I think yours is useful input. It's also, probably there are other people who are interested, some of whom may actually listen to this meeting and hear what you have to say. But I think it has been a topic of discussion, that is, control of Main Street bogs has been a football that we have thrown back and forth with the select board in the past with not a lot of response, let's put it that way. But it's a different select board now, and the town is different, and you make good points, and I think we need to have that conversation. But the first step is really just, I mean, our primary, I think that the highest priority here is to make sure the place is, as you put it, broom clean. In particular, things that are potentially environmentally problematic, that we need to make sure all that stuff is off the place. And, you know, the cost is a question, and who should bear that cost is a question. That's a conversation to have with the town manager and the select board. And once we come to some agreement about all that stuff, then I think is the time to have the discussion about what should we really be doing with the tech school, and is there a way we can get the things that you're talking about without just abandoning the lease with the tech school? And so that's a conversation that we have to have. We have to have public meetings about that, because everybody in town is very interested in that, and there will be a variety of opinions. So, I don't know, that's what I have to say. Amy?
Sophia, did you have a comment?
I just, yeah, well, it seems like maybe it's a separate thing, but the cost of cleanup, for what it's worth, like, I wouldn't see that there would be any other option than for that responsibility to be on the person who has been leasing the property. That seems
Either
like-
the tech school, the current lessee, or the previous lessee, yeah.
I mean, absolutely, so,
Yeah.
for
Right.
whatever that's worth.
Great, glad to hear that.
Shouldn't be the town.
No.
Shouldn't be the town, and that, and because, yeah, if I don't know when it would be appropriate for me to ask. I'd like to ask about putting something else on the agenda. I don't know when is an appropriate time for me to ask that of you.
Well, you
It's-
can say what it is, and we
Okay.
can consider,
Thanks.
you know, when that.
As some of you may know, last year I brought a petition to the town meeting for the town to hire a tree warden.
Yeah.
And the voters were all for it. However, the select board did not want to be told that they had to develop and create an expenditure. So they did not support it. I made the mistake then in my petition of including some money, which was apparently very foolish of me as a strategy. So this year, having learned, thinking I learned my lesson, I made a proposal, not for a tree warden, just for a bylaw, no cost to the town. And I'm still not getting support from the select board. We don't need to go into reasons why, everybody, you know, but the point is, tree warden, trees don't have what a constituency. The fire department has one, the police department, the rec, all these groups have their constituencies that speak up for them. Trees don't have one. And I believe that's why the select board is just basically just dead in the water about doing anything about this. So, thinking out of the box, I wanted to have a discussion, if you all wanted to have a discussion, on finding monies in your budget so that you can effectively, as the Conservation Commission, hire the tree warden. You know, the town has money for this, but they cry they don't. I mean, they're replacing the Boston whaler on Long Pond. They're replacing the harbor master's boat. They're buying hardware here and there. So it's a matter of priorities. It's not a matter of just saying, oh, we can't afford it, because some things need to be afforded and other things need to be let go, or at least stretched out on a capital budget. And so I think trees are something that their constituency is all of us. Right now, my proposal to get around their intransigence was simply to require that all trees within a town road setback the ownership come before the select board or a board of their choosing, probably choose you guys, to discuss the merits of cutting the trees down. I mean, you may have watched on South Street, there were 5 big trees in the last 2 months that are gone. Now, it'd be one thing if people were replanting, but I don't see any replanting. I don't see any interest in that. You go to a town like Brookline, where they have 2,500 trees logged with names and numbers and all kinds of data. They take care of their trees because they recognize them as part of their life. Here, you know, the excuse is the electric company handles it on one side and takes away what they can, but that still leaves us the other side, depending on how you want to look at it.
So Matthew,
So I'm asking, so that's what I'm asking for, the
well,
agenda, if it could be on the
I
agenda.
want to make 2 points, and Amy may contradict me, I don't know, but trees on upland streets in the town of Harwich are not within our jurisdiction, so I don't think there's anything that we can actually do about what you're saying, and if you're asking for Conservation Department to find money in its budget to hire a tree warden, I
Yes.
think you're barking up the wrong tree to, because, you know, we don't have the money to buy a new boat to drive around and check out what's happening up on the Herring River. We have to rely
Yeah.
on the harbor master to do that. I'm just saying the budget, I don't know, Amy, you may argue
So,
with me, but I don't know.
It would, regardless of if it's in the, it still would have to be approved
Yes.
as an add to staff.
Right.
And that's not something we can put in, we have a current salaries and wages, I have a current approved number of staff people. So one way or another, whether it's conservation, another department, a general employee of the town, you still have to vote a new position in
Who's you? Who has to vote that
the
position?
town
Okay. The town would be at the select board, it's from your
to add a position,
select board.
depending on the level of the position.
Okay,
And depending if it's union, because we have 7 unions in this town,
okay.
and things, or if it's a contract position. So it's easier said than done, because an ad, like when I asked for my part-time person, or when I had to get an assistant conservation agent, it's all adds to staff. That's a new position,
understand.
adding a new position. So it's not something that we can say, oh, we have an extra, and we don't have an extra $1,000, never mind an extra, you know, enough for a person. But our budgets are put into expenses, line items, salaries and wages, what we bring in, which is minimal, in things like that. So, and so in terms of petition articles, just because we're going to talk about it next time too, I would just say that we've been advised by our acting town administrator at the time that while the commission could, somebody could come with the permission of the chair to give a presentation about their petition article, that we're not supposed to, we should not be opining to skew the view of the public at town meeting. So like next time we have a petitioner coming in to give a presentation, they know that the commission will not be voting one way or
Gotcha.
another. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for the explanation. And with candor, I realize you don't have any money, and I realize that if the select board doesn't want to give it to you, you'll never have any money. So I get it, but at least
I buy little trees. They're about this big, and I get a couple hundred and give them away every
Well,
year.
that's good. Well, at least I got my thought out, and to the extent that anybody can build on that thought, of course, I'd be grateful, and I'm sure the town would be grateful.
Matt, didn't the town give the authority to deal with the trees to the highway department?
Yes, in 2005, they did that, but, you know, a tree warden has a kind of A to Z look at,
Right.
whereas the highway department has just the highway.
Right.
So you can't expect the trees to get their fair hearing. It just doesn't happen. And, you know, just outside here last year, there was a big tree, I brought the slice in here to complain about the fact that the tree was cut down by the highway department. Cut down when there was one dead limb. I went and paid $50 to get the slice from the guy that was cutting it up, and there was one dead limb, but the whole tree was removed. So this is it's just a kind of simplistic way of doing business that is unfortunate for all of us.
Out of
We'd all
sight.
like to look at that tree
Sight,
today.
out of mind.
Yeah. We'd all like to have that tree out there today, and yet, they're all gonna keep coming down if we don't do something.
No, you're right.
That's as simply as I can put it.
You were here, you've been in town for a long time, you remember the elms and stuff all down through here?
I have, Todd, my stepfather,
Yeah.
bought about 40 or 50 of them, all milled down. They were 8-foot lengths for tables, and my brother still has some of them up in the
It was
barn.
beautiful, from South
Yeah.
Street all the way
I-
down Old Chatham Road, gigantic elm trees,
Yeah.
all the way
All-
down through town here.
Harwichport, I had a paper route when I was 7, and, all those trees, in the old days, the trees afforded shade for the horses. They were useful. That treescape was encouraged, hence the tree ward. But, these days, that thought seems to have gone by the boards.
Yeah.
You had a question?
Yeah, I think, everything you've said is valid. I don't have the full history, so am I understanding you correctly when you say there is nothing in place currently to protect trees from being just cut down?
That would be my statement.
Willy-nilly.
If the highway department doesn't want a tree, it's cut down. If somebody in these offices calls and complains about a tree, it's likely to be cut down.
So
So
there's no,
yes,
there's
there's
no
no tree, the
bylaw
tree
or
does not
anything?
get a hearing. The tree does not get a hearing.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Well, I won't
Go
hold
ahead,
you
Ed,
up.
if I may, please. I'm generally not in favor of a consultant, but in this particular application, perhaps a professional arborist being engaged per diem might be beneficial,
Sure. That's a great start.
Yeah, because the tree warden, as far as I'm concerned, the town should have one. Years ago, when we had one, I believe the man did a great job, and he was very beneficial.
Link Thatcher, and then
Great
Carly,
job.
and Carly Francis after him. I was a kid then,
Yep.
but well, that would be, pushing that would be great. It could be a part-time position. That's not like he has to be here all the time. Eventually, were we to have a tree ward, we're one of only 2 towns in the Cape that don't have one. And it's constantly brought up as a money issue, when in fact, they just could put off a war memorial or put off a Boston whaler so that we could pay a guy part-time to look after our treescape. It's only that hard and only that simple. But I'm grateful for the time, and I hope something will happen over
Me
time.
too.
thank you, ma'am.
Thanks very much.
Getting back to the letter,
Yeah,
I did clean up one and put CC Board of Selectmen.
okay.
I don't know if you want to vote to send,
Night.
to have John send this letter.
Can we have a motion?
I make a motion, we send the new letter to the Board of Selectmen?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 6 and 0.
I'll give you this one, John. And if you want to give it back to me, I'm happy to pop it in the mailbox
I will
downstairs.
sign it, and
I'll make a copy for the select board, and I'll give one to our new town administrator.
okay, we have, what, here, can you hand that back to Amy? And
Thank you.
the other discussion item was regulation of fertilizers within Conservation Commission jurisdiction. Now, both Mark and I have proposed language for modified regulations. Have you all had a chance to look at those? And you
One
have
of your,
comments, Amy?
yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at, we talked about it briefly yesterday, and I went back and read what Mark had provided, and the second part of, which is this page, this is what John provided. The second, basically the last paragraph there, they're very similar. And so this would be this would be conditioned, and if you wanted to change regulations, that would have to be at a public hearing for that, and this is not like a public hearing tonight for this. But I think there's a lot of common ground here, and I'm confident that we can kind of come to some language that you can agree to as a general, as a condition. And then knowing that coming forward in the next 6 months, we're probably going to be revising, by the fall, potentially revising the regulations anyway to include coastal resiliency stuff in some fashion. Maybe that's the time to actually, make a reg. But if you can agree if we can kind of agree on language for the conditions we put on permits, that's a good start.
If the regulations aren't there to support this 100%, how do we justify that to put it into?
Well, the regulations now say no fertilizers, so, we'd have to have if we wanted to change that and not expand upon that, because if you continued to say no herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, or whatever, then that's fine, and you put a caveat in there that they may be, in order to allow it, must be approved by the Conservation Commission or its agent. That could be part of it.
Well, I guess that was the base of my question, was to not leave it in a point where it could be easily openly challenged.
So, I suggested to you yesterday or the other day that we could put this off until we get to the coastal resiliency things.
That's up to you.
have had second thoughts about
Okay.
that idea, but before discussing that part, I'd just like to find out how much agreement there is amongst all of us that this is generally a good idea, and if it's just a question of, refining the language so that we all agree on the exact language, or whether there's more basic questions about what's going on here. So I'd like to start with that. Wayne, do
It sounds like a good idea to me, John.
you
And
have
our-
anything to say about the specific language here?
No, I read that, well worded,
Okay. Vivian?
So I've got Mark's in one hand and this other one
It's John's.
is John's. So are we still talking about combining both of these, or are we looking at the one on the front that seems to sort of, the part that says, exceptions may be made by the Conservation Commission or the Conservation Department acting as their agent as part of an approved land management plan for a one-time application, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on. So are we still trying to meld these two together, or, because they both look like they're saying more or less the same thing. This looks like it's kind of hit on a lot of what Mark has in his, unless I'm mistaken. Otherwise, I don't really have any other.
Okay.
I like the fact that there's an exception, because I think, there might be a situation where with a soil test, with other conditions, you might have to put something down, maybe biochar. But, so it's not it's not entirely closing the door, forever, and I think it's nuanced, is what I'm trying to say. So I
They
think
both
it's,
more or less say that, right?
yeah. So now it's just kind of, if I'm understanding it, it's just which one, or are we gonna continue to sort of take some stuff from here and include it in here? That's the only
I don't
question
know.
I have.
What do you have to say,
Otherwise,
Mark?
it looks like it makes sense.
I felt the way I worded that was adequate. I think you and I basically said the same thing.
I think so.
I think all you need to add into Mark's is, when I'm looking at it, special consideration may be given to support mitigation, planting, habitat improvement or preservation, invasive species control removal, with permission from the Conservation Commission.
So, one thing I think is important is just referring to the state fertilizer regs, so that
Okay.
it doesn't seem like we're just arbitrarily making these things up. That it's actually based on
And that's
whatever
the
science
one.
was done to formulate the state regulations. It makes it more legitimate.
As long as it's not a contradiction.
Well, I hope it isn't. Right.
And that's that 330 CMR 31.2?
Yeah, that's where definitions are of
Okay.
those things.
Can I ask another question?
Of course.
Makes sense.
So the part where Mark has proof of insurance, applicator's license, product description, blah, 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 is there a place on here to kind of slot that in where you're talking about one-time application? So, because it sounds like
That was my question.
if you're making an exception with a soil test and other conditions, you also want somebody who knows what the heck they're doing and they're
Absolutely.
licensed to do it, to make that happen. So I wonder if some version of the last kind of paragraph of what Mark has can be imported into this one here. And that's it then. I don't,
Makes sense.
I really don't have anything else after that.
Susan?
That was my question, because we seem to have dropped that pace. But just to bring me back to this original conversation, we are replacing what currently says no fertilizers,
Right,
and we're blowing it out to include all this piece,
that's,
which I'm fine with. Yeah, I guess I'm fine with it. I'm kind of surprised, though, because I thought the people who are reacting to no fertilizers,
well,
I
so
feel like we're still saying that, which
maybe
is a lot of examples.
I think you missed some of the history here, which is what triggered me to start thinking about this at all, over a year ago now, was a particular applicant who was in there with a particular landscaper who was putting down a product with huge amounts of nitrogen and
okay.
phosphorus in
That's
it.
the piece I'm missing, so this
and,
clarifies that.
State regs and the UMass guidelines all are pretty specific about not doing that
Got
sort
it,
of thing.
okay, so
And
this
so
replaces,
that was the point of that.
okay. But yeah, as long as, I do think you need the proof piece brought over.
I think it's good. I was gonna say I don't really care for the list in that first sentence, but maybe you just took it straight from 330 CMR. It's like, it's a little fluffy to me.
Fluffy?
Well, like, what's digestate, and is anyone gonna?
Wait a minute,
Just
I
talking about
like,
this here.
I like that Mark's version is a little bit more,
Oh.
it's a little clearer. I think it calls out compost, which achieves precisely the problem that triggered this whole thing, which is
but the,
compost.
Question.
hmm,
If you go to 330 CMR 31.02, does it say animal manure, like, does it say all those things first? All those, so if you did say no plant nutrients, and then say as defined by 330 CMR 31.02, would that be sufficient without putting all the examples? Or maybe you want the examples, so.
I don't know. I think, I don't actually remember specifically, but I think I lifted that language directly out
Okay.
of there. I think all those words are in there, and maybe they're unnecessary. I think the reason all those words are in there is because people can potentially think or claim or try to get around that
Yeah.
by using something that isn't specifically called out. But maybe that doesn't matter for us? I'm not sure.
Can we,
Wait, I'm gonna look at that real quick.
can we use the language that's in Mark's and then kind of like bookend it with like a reference to
That's what I was
the other
trying to.
products in that,
Should we
you
pick
know?
up rodenticides, though? I just realized Mark's didn't have rodenticides.
Should. I don't know. I don't object to it staying the way it is, like, that strongly. I just think that it's a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you finding that, Amy?
I'm getting there. So. Cultural. So I think all these things are defined, John.
So Yours
So-
didn't have the exceptions may be made by conservation, I mean, you're fine with that? You didn't have that in yours.
It's okay.
So all those things that, are you talking about, animal manure, fertilizer,
I think it's,
Like you sort of referred to it by talking about.
yeah.
those are all defined
To me, it's
there.
not that important
So
to
if
break
you
it out
wanted to make it less wordy,
specific, yeah,
but
specific.
you'd put the onus on them to actually
I mean, who else
go
you
and
gonna to?
look at 330, but it is, I mean, technically, if you put the citation there, and you say no plant nutrients, and then go right to as defined and, or as defined in 330 CMR 31.02 are permitted, except what we're saying here. So it puts it's very easy to find. I found it in 2 seconds, not 2 seconds, a minute. But it's very easy to find, and it's very clear.
So, would you be willing to take the comments that have been made here and
Sure.
meld the two things following the
Sure.
comments that we have made, and then maybe, I mean, I'm thinking, taking your comments to heart, that is, maybe it's a bad idea to try to apply these ideas in orders without actually making them a regulation.
Right.
Maybe we should think about having a public
Yeah.
hearing before, whenever it is we get to the coastal resiliency stuff, which is going to be more complicated, and that conversation is going to take up a lot of time
Yeah.
and headspace, so, maybe we could just, if we can all, I think we all agree basically on the basic idea, it's just
Just the wording.
language, how that goes, so if we could just come to, maybe
Yeah, I'll
take
put it
one more
together. If
pass.
anybody, see Viv's scribbling over there, so maybe I'll enlist
Yeah.
Viv to help me
Yeah, that's
meld
a
them.
great idea.
But I mean, essentially now your regulation, if you look at the wording of it, is more strict than what you're talking about doing, so.
In that
And that's
we're
the
allowing,
regulation,
allowing a one-time exception.
potential, yes, on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I can share, I'm just trying to understand it myself,
Yeah.
that's why I'm writing it down.
We'll work together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sound good to you? All right. Okay. what do we have
We
left?
got some orders of conditions and minutes.
Okay.
And I said, I did not put 53 on your table in front of you because that's been in Dropbox for almost a week now. But the two newer ones are on the table. The two for Bank Street, the drafts are there.
I just,
53 North Road is right here.
Oh, then we did print it out for your packet. Or Lisa printed it out.
oh yeah, it is here.
I didn't print it out. Lisa did.
Can I ask a question about the two Bank Street ones, Amy?
Sure, do you want to skip to that? The
Just,
one-
it's just I think just it might be a repeat. There's a 13 and 11. 13 on 166 under, I think, special conditions, yeah, and 11 under special conditions on 303. They look the same?
Oh, 166 Bank was not supposed to have that.
Okay.
Can you tell I used 303 to draft the other one?
So get rid of this number 13 on 166, okay.
They're not gonna be a split, there's
Okay.
not gonna be a split rail.
That's, I figured that's what it was, I just,
Okay.
So I'm removing special condition 13 on that one. So that's for 166.
okay.
Any other comments or questions about any of these orders?
You want, we can announce all three of them and vote.
Oh, I guess we need to announce them, don't we? Okay, next we have 3 orders of conditions. 53 North Road, map 19, parcel M1, SE 32-2633, for the construction of a one-bedroom detached accessory dwelling, or ADU, with connection to and work on the septic system. Work will take place within land subject to coastal storm flowage, riverfront area to Herring River, and within 100 feet of jurisdictional wetland resource areas. Second order of conditions, 166 Bank Street, map 23, parcel M5-2, SE 32-2632, for the construction of additions to the single-family dwelling, construction of a pool and patio, installation of a fence, installation of drainage improvements or rain gardens, and installation of native plantings as mitigation for the increase in impervious surfaces. And number 3 is 303 Bank Street, map 41, parcel S6, SE 32-2631, for the construction of a single-family dwelling.
Are we making a general,
Well, that was the idea, unless people want to.
You don't have to repeat everything he
okay,
just
I'll
said.
make a motion then to approve the order of conditions for the last three mentioned by John.
I'll
Is that
second
good?
that motion.
That's fine.
Okay, second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6-0.
3 of them, please. And then we've got minutes from February 11th.
We did the March 4th on.
Not yet.
Okay. There was one typo in there, but I forget where it was. Did you catch a typo?
I did not.
Okay.
You get a prize today.
A prize?
Yeah,
Really?
door prize.
I didn't know that.
Or maybe a raffle ticket.
Okay, let's see if I can find the typo. I might not be able to, in which case,
Oh, I found it.
good, thank you.
He concludes paragraph.
What's that?
It's under the he concludes paragraph. It's either missing a word or it's got an extra word in there.
Should adopt, he concludes that to be consistent with state regulations, Harwich wetland regulations should adopt language that is fully, sounds okay.
In the with?
Oh.
Within,
In the with, yes, that's the one.
Oh,
within the,
yes.
yeah.
I didn't get that far. Is fully. Got it. One correction. Got it. Okay.
We didn't break the record, but
Not bad.
Have another run at it, 2 weeks.
do we have anything else to discuss?
Need a motion for the 11th.
Oh,
Oh, right.
I move to approve the minutes from February 11th.
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you finish? Yeah, I did.
Couple real brief things. I think I sent you all the sign up for the Cape Coastal Conference. It's gonna be at the new Margaritaville. April 12th and 13th. It is free. If you need me to send it again, let me know.
I don't
You can
remember
sign
that.
yourselves up for that one, if you would wish to go. And so a couple things, if anybody wants to lend a hand installing piping plover fencing on Tuesday morning next
Installing
week. Piping plover
Oh.
symbolic fencing. We will be meeting at 9 o'clock at Red River Beach, where the dunes start next Tuesday, and doing that, and then going over to Bank Street, trying to have a crew coming to help, and it won't take very long. Then, on the 28th, I'll plug the Meet Your Local Farmers event with the Harwich Conservation Trust. It's gonna be over at Monomoy High School, as opposed to the community center, which will be a much bigger space.
Is it not at the tech?
Or Cape Tech, I
So
thought.
it was tech school.
Apologies, I think they asked both, and I think thought they were gonna be at Monomoy. So,
The tech piece?
yeah, check the Harwich Conservation Trust website. It probably will be at the tech, if you're saying it's at the tech. Then, it would be very helpful if on April 25th, it's a Saturday, we have our annual Tour de Trash, and it's going to be a regional health and environmental fair this year, because ours was so successful that the other towns just want to join ours instead of having their own. So Eastham, Orleans, Chatham, and Harwich will be having a health and environment fair on Saturday, April 25th, over at the 204 Cultural Arts Municipal Building. We're going to kick the day off with Tour de Trash, the community cleanup, and then roll into having, again, you can go get your Arbor Day seedlings, you can learn about birds from Mass Audubon, and you can have things like your blood pressure checked. So it's everything health and environment on the 25th, and we could use a hand in the morning with Tour de Trash, kind of getting the people who've signed up out on the roads. The signups for those routes will be out shortly. And then
So what time's Tour de Trash then, like 9?
9 to, yeah, we're gonna start at 9, we'll be there at 8:30. And then the Health and Environment Fair doesn't start till 11.
Yeah.
And that's 11 to 2. In particular in the morning, to help direct traffic, especially as the different organizations who are tabling come in, would be very helpful if people could do it, so.
So we're staffing a table for the Ponds Fellowship, but I can help with the Tour de
If,
Trash setup for,
if that's not, if you'd be willing to, that would be great, and it may be, just really kind of helping direct people to who's going where.
and
That'd be
where's-
great.
Where's the
Is it
central location for that kicking off?
The parking lot in front of the 204.
Oh, the Tour de Trash is gonna kick off in there?
Yeah.
Okay, got it, okay.
Yeah. We have a few AmeriCorps members, we've got a few staff people, but, yeah.
A little point of interest, perhaps, that first one that came up for us tonight, that was the home of Dan Lacken, who was the chairman of the Conservation Commission when I was on board years ago.
Oh,
On the corner of Lawn and Bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was a retired reporter, I believe, for the Boston Globe, or one of those papers in Boston, and came down here. He's from Harwich.
What's his name?
Dan Lacken.
Good guy.
There was a bog behind there, right?
Oh, yeah,
When was that active?
before my time. It's
Oh.
always been like that, as far as I can remember.
all right,
Okay. Anything else?
got,
All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of the Harwich Conservation Commission on March 18th, 2026.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.